Hi, I'm back with another weekly update. This past week, we had our first virtual meeting of the entire House of Commons. So this was not a proper parliamentary session. No parliamentary business could be transacted, no bills introduced, no votes, no motions. But we were able to ask the government questions. So this is better than nothing, but not ideal. And didn't go entirely smoothly. There were a lot of technical problems that you would expect. It was basically a Zoom call of the House of Commons with questions and answers, but not really any other business. On Wednesday, though, we did have a session in Ottawa attended by a limited number of MPs, where we could have in-person accountability with the government, and also the government was able to introduce their bill on student aid. Now, we supported this bill. The government had made a number of changes to it based on recommendations that we had made as opposition parliamentarians. So it was an example of the system working as it should, improving legislation through the process of debate and back and forth with opposition and government. So the government accepted, and there were amendments that we proposed that were passed by the government, as well as amendment by one of the other parties too. So this program will be welcomed by many students who face the summer of not being able to access employment. Although there is a job bank that is now attached to this program, and we hope that many students actually will be able to find employment, particularly in the agriculture sector, where they are really looking for workers, and our food supply chains depend on farmers and producers being able to get their crops in. So we hope that some students will be able to find work, and that those that can't will have an aid package that will help see them through the summer. So this week also, the Parliamentary Budget Officer tabled some reports on the new spending programs that the government has undertaken, as well as the overall budget health of Canada, and it's very, very grim reading. We are looking at a $252 billion deficit for this year. That's a staggering sum. We weren't in great financial health before the crisis hit, but the amount of money that is being borrowed and basically created by the Bank of Canada to buy some of the new government debt issues, it just staggers the mind. And it's really important that we get to the point where the economy can be reopened, because it is simply unsustainable to have the government backstopping much of the private economy, backstopping provinces, backstopping municipalities, and households across Canada. There's no substitute for a working economy. We've got to get there. And fortunately, we are seeing now some provinces are now committing to timelines for a gradual reopening of our economy, and that's very welcome. We have been calling upon the federal government to do the same, to lay out at least a framework or a pathway to reopen the economy. And so far, they have just merely said, no, we got to keep shut down until a vaccine is in place. And it's just not responsible to ignore the question and to not address how we can safely go about some type of return to normal economic activity in the absence of vaccines. We call upon them to do so. I am pleased to see that provinces have been able to see through and to give people some hope and some dates and timelines. But in the meantime, I continue to urge everyone to comply with local health authorities and as well as provincial guidelines. All of that information can be found on my website, as well as the details of the most up-to-date details on all the aid measures. So that's at patkelly.mp.ca. And hopefully by the time I get to next week's update, there will be some better news on a number of these fronts.